Hi everybody, I'm Stephanie and welcome to Sounds Taboo podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I've invited my lovely ladies back to come and chat with me about sexuality. We started the conversation before with a short film and we had great feedback, and we just wanted to kind of continue the conversation and go a little bit deeper, get a bit juicier into the topic. So please welcome my lovely ladies. We have Shasha.
Hey, my name's Charlene. I'm glad to be here, really.
What do you do, Shah?
I work in recruitment. I'm also a singer and I'm also a youth mentor.
Yes. Okay, thanks for coming, babe. Okay, Cherry.
Hi, I'm Cherry V, singer-songwriter.
Entrepreneur, lady of the gram, fabulous sister.
Hi.
Yeah, like you're shy, come on.
Yeah. No. Oh, you're not shy at all. My turn.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, I'm Phoebe Edwards, singer-songwriter. And yeah, thanks for having me once again.
Welcome back, babe.
Thank you.
Good. So let's start. Let's get a little bit of like background again. We're talking about sexuality, us as women, us as black women. We're all in our 30s. And I think this time of life, we really start reflecting on our history, on our childhood, our past, and what has kind of made us who we are now. I think now we're kind of like, we're trying to have babies, we're having kids, we're kind of like furthering our careers, we're buying properties, and we're really kind of like thinking, all right, who am I?
I've never seen it.
We're thinking,
We're just going to try.
who am I? You know, maybe you're having some problems, like why do I keep having these problems, and being a bit self-reflective. And then we realise that our childhoods kind of like really have quite a big impact on the people that we are now, good and bad, you know. So like with regards to sexuality, tell me, what was your environment like at home? What were the conversations that you had at home with regards to your body, your self-confidence, being a young lady, going out and about? Like, what were you encouraged to do? What were you discouraged to do? What was like, absolutely not kind of thing? Talk to me. Let's talk.
I don't mind starting. Been brought up in a really strict background. Dad's a bishop. You know, I think I said this, a bit of this last time, but my dad's a bishop. Mum's at the time, my mum was the mother of the church, so she was responsible for making sure all the young ladies were circumspect, as they called it. Like,
what does that mean?
Decent. I think it was like a really weird long word for just ladylike, you know, stush and ladylike, and keeping clean and making sure you're covered up. We had lots of layers, so there's petticoat, you had on your girdle, your petticoat, you had on your tights, you had on your blouse had to be up to here, long sleeves, you had your beret, and you just had to be covered at all times. I mean, some of you guys saw me like when I was younger and coming to the concerts, and I looked like one of those, what's that thing, Handmaid's Tale?
Handmaid's Tale.
I looked like that at like 9 years old. And that was a part of being ladylike, and that was a part of not being too sexual as well. I found that, I mean, I mentioned riding a bike was a no-no, absolute no-no. Swimming for GCS, for the curriculum at school was an absolute no-no.
Really?
So I was out of those lessons. So for me, it was, not only was it a religious thing, but it was also a cultural thing where that kind of bled over into everything. You must cover up, put on your nightie, under your nightie you must have your vest, and you must have this, and your dressing gown, and cover up your head. Everything was very, keep your body to yourself, and there was no talk about sexuality at all.
At the time, did you feel like this is weird, or did it just feel normal?
I can honestly say I felt anxious all the time about my body, and especially starting to develop, I almost felt, I remember just feeling very like certain shapes are taking place, like my breasts are developing, and I felt nervous about it rather than, oh, I'm a woman, you know?
Yeah.
That was my earliest memory of, you know, that emotion that I connected to it, anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Breasts are such a big part of it,
Right,
isn't it?
right.
I had big old boobies when I was like 7, 8 years old in school, like the only girl that had boobs. And I was sporty as well. So I'm still trying to like play netball, football and hang out with the guys and do whatever, do a sports day. And it's just like, I remember one boy, his name was Samuel. He kept teasing me in school about having boobs. I used to beat him up all the time, basically. Chase him around, just beat him up. I was like, oh, you got big boobs and da-da. And like, they really don't talk to like kids about how to just respect each other.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And girls in their developing bodies. But other than that, I don't think I was that self-conscious about it. I don't think, other than the stupid boys at school. I think it was pretty, like I said before, my house was like a naked household. My mum was quite open and
Free,
comfortable with the body. So in that sense, I was like, what's the problem? It's just boobs, in it. You know. I don't know, Shah. What are you saying?
Well, I definitely didn't have a naked household. It wasn't spoken about, really. And then kind of similar, I developed really early. And I remember actually, I don't remember developing in primary school. I remember definitely secondary school. I started school in Liverpool, actually. And I was literally the only girl with breasts. It was in a mixed school as well. It was just... And I was living with my grandparents. So even knowing that I needed a bra, it was like, I was embarrassed to ask for a bra. It was like I've done something wrong. I don't know. I can't even explain that.
I can relate to that,
But I thought it was almost like I did something wrong because now what, am I trying to be a woman now? Do you know what I mean? What do you mean
Who do
bra?
I think I am?
Yeah, so...
Go to put on your vest. Go put on your
What
vest.
do you mean bra, you know? Wow. I remember the crop tops. It was like a vest, but it was short. So I was wearing that with no support. You're trying to run around. Things are moving.
Exactly the same.
And it was horrible. And I used to hide it. I'd try and wear the baggiest shirts and stuff just so people couldn't really see. But yeah, I didn't like it. Even like, you know, starting your period, and I didn't even want to tell my nan. I was like, for me, it was like telling her that I was pregnant. I might as well have told her that I was pregnant.
Yeah, starting your period.
I kept that to myself for a little while until when she found out. I definitely got in trouble though.
But that's the thing, in trouble.
I got in trouble for not telling her.
Oh, right, okay, right.
For not telling her.
her.
So, yeah, that early development, like even come up to like 14, I looked older.
Yeah.
So I had older boys always trying to talk to me.
Gosh.
Yeah, there was always older guys hanging outside the school. By the time I come to London, I went to a girls' school, and there was grown people standing outside school waiting. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna need you to back
Yeah, like now I'm like, hold on, that's
right.
a paedophile, right? But at the time, it's like, older guys like me.
Yeah, like
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They were
18-year-olds.
outside the school waiting.
Yeah. It's kind of gross.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I think I had two opposite sides of the spectrum. Like, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, but my great-grandparents, my great-granddad was a pastor, and my great-grandma was obviously first lady of all that stuff. And then my grandma, like my mum's mum, was more like worldly and like non-church sort of thing. She'd go like to Catholic church and like one candle and pray or something there, but like she was more, so I had balance of the two. So there was one area of like being raised in like New Testament, hat, no trousers, frock, tights, frilly socks, and you know, no makeup, no relaxed hair, nothing. And then there was the other side that was like, as soon as I got to a certain age, my grandma was like, yeah, man, you must live your life and dress a certain way and look upon this. And if you want to be a singer, you must, this is how you must dress. You must dress sexy, you know? So, having two sides of the spectrum. My gran, I'm thankful, so like, she was so instrumental in like my first bra, me having my first period, and she knew exactly what to say to me. Like, she knew exactly what to, how to talk to me and everything. But my great grandma on the other side was a bit more like hush hush, like we don't talk about them something there. We don't talk about them things. You know what I mean? Everything's kind of hush hush. So I think I had a equal balance of the two, but equally exposed to both types of upbringing. But I feel it's funny because it's like, as much as there's so many things that from my great gran, like from New Testament background, that's like really? That like, did we really do that? But in a way, it gave me some type of, you know, moral
balance.
Yeah, in a way. So I'm so grateful for both. But yeah, there was some wild things there.
So I guess it's a good thing that you had both though.
Yeah.
So if you had maybe just one,
Yeah,
would
would
be a
probably be a
different
bit
story.
more like, just one a bit more one-sided.
That's the thing. That's what I feel like. I don't know if envy is the right word, but I wish I had more of both sides.
Yeah.
Because when it came to maybe wearing trousers for the first time, or you know, having something a little bit like see-through, I was just scared because I just thought I'm going to go to hell. You know,
Like,
and,
oh, wow.
yeah. And some of my sisters weren't in the church, and I'd go around. I remember Kim. She used to put red lipstick on, so I used to kiss her on her lips on purpose just so that I could have red lips. But red lips, I feel like in those days it was like, oh, you're a bit
Scarlet Woman.
Yeah,
You imagine having red hair and going by the church.
Exactly. So like, I'd go to Kim's house and she, you know, she'd let me get away with murder, you know, just literal murder. Like, it's all right, you don't need to just spread it. But my heart would be racing, and but it
Like
was
you're doing
more that I
something
didn't
wrong.
understand. I didn't understand. Whereas you had someone that was on the other side who would be able to say, this is the reason why it's okay to wear this, but I just. You can put that on, but I'd be scared that as soon as mum comes to pick me up, I'm going to get a box because what have you got that on for? You're sinful and you're nasty and you're going to go to hell.
Yeah.
Literally, that's literally the words that I'd feel.
There's just so much shame, isn't there?
Shame,
around being a woman, just from the get-go, from getting breasts. Like I remember us having to ask for bras, and it's firstly, it's like, why do I have to ask? To go bra shopping?
Can't you see?
What's going on here? And my bras cost a lot of money back in those days. We have all the options now. So I had I was small, big boobs, and we had to go. I think Marks and Spencer's at the time, and it's like £30 for a bra, £25. That's a lot of money. For a bra for like a 10-year-old. Do you know what I mean? And like a sports bra as well, because I'm into sports. So it's like it's always a bit of like shameful, like, Dad, I need money for a bra, like, you know, rather than that initiative being taken of like, okay, let's go. I was imagining like, let's go shopping. You know, you're a young woman now. Let's go.
Let's celebrate.
That,
And we'll go out for tea and we'll talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't get teased for coming on your period. You know, from your siblings or whatever.
That's the thing. Even talking about coming on your period, like, I don't know if I touched this last time, but for me, it was, I remember Kim asking me about my period. And the first thing I said to her was, that's nasty. Don't talk about that. Because she said to me, have you started your period yet, Alfie? She called me Alfie. I was like, that's nasty. Don't talk about that. Because I just didn't understand that it was natural. And that's how much, like, my womanhood was shielded from me because in fear of me growing up too fast, right down to hiding the screens of adverts of people in bras, like covering my eyes and stuff like that. You know, and now I look at it and I'm like, if God blesses me with daughters, I would want them to be as open as possible, as comfortable as possible, to talk about things like, because it's so natural. But for me, it felt like it was this big, massive elephant. Is it elephant in the room? Just a massive issue or elephant in the room. This.
Do you guys have any like big arguments or bust ups like with your parents about you wanted to wear something that they thought was like inappropriate or blah blah blah?
Do you know what? No, I don't think I really wanted to. I know there was times when I go to school and I know my skirt was shorter than it should have been, but then I'd wear like the long socks. That was the style, like the long socks up to here with a skirt.
Oh yeah.
But I don't remember my mum ever having a problem. But I never really wanted to push the boundaries anyway because I was already self-conscious about myself and I didn't really want, like, some of the attention I was getting, I didn't actually want it. So I was always kind of, you know, not too much. A little bit, but not too much. But yeah, my mum never really policed my clothes. No. Never had to. But I had an older cousin who would literally change at the bottom of the road. Like wear stuff that her mum wouldn't allow her to wear, put on her blonde wig. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, she
turn up to school looking completely different.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't really. But then again, my mum was like, she wasn't, she didn't grow up in church or anything like that. So I didn't have that church background. She was a raver. She was, you know, DJing, raving, everything. Like, she was out there anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like to her, I was probably like a goody two shoes in her eyes. To be fair.
Yeah, I remember like, because of how I grew up around the choir, I had like so many eyes on me all the time. And so whenever I do anything, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, like talk to your child, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, all of that kind of bitchy stuff. And I remember one time, I mean, I've always loved dressing up. I always like cut up my clothes, make a pair of trousers into a top. Like I loved always being quite, you know, expressive with my fashion and stuff like that. So I remember one time, I can't remember which album it was the choir released, but they had like a big launch down at premises. And I bought these, I think I must have been started working in already because I bought these like, massive white platforms. I think I've still got them somewhere. They're literally this big, the heel and the front of it is that big. And I wore just like with some black trousers and like this kind of like a tunic, kind of like an Asian style tunic. So it had like a little hole there, did up. And it was like bright pink and red roses. I absolutely loved this outfit. And I had my hair in a little afro, like little butterfly clips at the time, those sort of things.
Yeah,
Little sparkly butterfly clips that you put everywhere. And you know, and I went, I was like, yeah, feeling myself. The backlash that I got for that outfit was like the shame. It was a lot. It was a lot.
What, because of the little hole in there or what?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think maybe the shoes, maybe.
Right.
And obviously I was well developed, so I had, you know, I had a figure,
Shape,
you know, even though I was probably 13 or something, or 12. And it's like, I wasn't 12, maybe 13. And it was just like, just so conflicting, where I had my mum, who's a Trinidadian woman. You know, Trinis are very free. You know, she's very free. She's very charismatic and like, you know, yeah, carnival, one up yourself, whatever. You know, she's a naked person, all that kind of stuff. Like my Trini family is very liberal, like that. So I'm like, okay, cool. At one point, I'm like, okay, there's license, but then on the other side, it's like when I do something that is free, it's like, no, you can't do that. So there's always this like big kind of battle with, I don't always think it was always my parents. I think it was maybe the pressure that they got from other people as well.
Yeah.
And them not being probably confident in how they were raising me, and then like them putting other people's judgments and all that kind of crap. Which I think up to, for a long time, that kind of conflict always kind of stayed with me. I find, you know, of like, okay, yeah, this is me. La, 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 la. No, performer, big. And then it's like, is it? Is it right now? Is it the right time? They're always kind of like second guessing yourself all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have found now, like, what are there times in your life where you like, in a place where you're more comfortable now, but then you've still got that kind of like...
Little niggly voice.
Yeah, that's still kind of like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, people might say this about you. Like,
You know what? I feel like I ignored that a lot. I heard it and I felt it. But I was like, child, I'm doing what I want to do. Yeah. And I feel like it's mad to come from a background that has such a strong opinion on how you should carry yourself as a woman from a family perspective and from like a religious perspective as well. And then stepping into this world where you're kind of like creatively, not encouraged, but you're free creatively to kind of like create and carve out whatever persona that you want to
be, whoever you want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even like stepping away from like church, as it were, and then coming back to like for events or like whether it was celebrations or like my gran invited me and like I used to wear like bright red hair, and even just that, even going to church like in a respectable outfit with bright red hair, that was a thing. It was just like, oh gosh, like what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, why is she wearing her hair like that?
What's going on?
But I think I probably rebelled against that at like probably at the beginning stages of like saying I was going to be an artist, because I was just like, I'm going to dress how I want, and I'm not going to allow anybody to tell me, oh, that's too much. I was probably like mad forceful with it and mad ruthless with it because I just didn't want anyone to tell me what to do.
Yeah. No, same.
Bad breed.
Yeah.
I was just made
Yeah.
up my own mind, and it's funny because that's the first thing you go to say bad breed, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
is it bad breed or is it like is
Yeah.
it just me? Yeah,
Like breed crew.
yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Literally. But you have to make that decision, like, you know what, I'm just gonna do what it is I want to do, like be who I want to be. And not just with how you dress, but with who you are as a person as well. Like, you're friendly, you're outgoing, you're chatty to people. And to a lot of people, that's quite intimidating when you're comfortable and confident in yourself and with how you carry yourself and, you know, and with how you present yourself. That can be quite... I remember having an ex-boyfriend and because I looked cute one day. I was tinier then. I made this like patchwork denim skirt, which I loved. And I wore some cute little boots and like a little kind of like a V-neck cream top. And we went to this, I don't know, networking thing for musicians, whatever. And he was upset with me. And I was like, what's your problem? He's like, that guy likes you. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like the fact that he likes you. And I'm like, what? You're saying this to me because I look cute.
Yeah.
That's a you problem. That's not a me. That's
me.
not a me issue. Like, you're with me because I'm hot. Like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So this like, it's that kind of being confident in yourself, regardless of the shame that people try and put on you for you being you, whether that is how you dress or just with how you are as a person. And especially when you're sexy and when you're confident in that, in your sexuality as a woman, you know, and you walk with that, you know, women who are confident and they're just sexy. You just see them and they're beautiful and like really powerful, and you know, they're going to wear a dress. There's this picture of Yusha in that red. Is it the red dress?
The red
dress.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Red dress.
Look on Shah's Instagram, y'all.
That still gets me. Even when I went to church, people were talking about this dress. I said,
Yeah.
this one red. You know what it is as well, because I don't really do like.
You don't do that.
I don't do body pictures. I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
My Instagram is not like that. But the one time I said, actually, I'm feeling myself right now. I took a picture.
I'm feeling myself. Let me do this.
Yeah, and then it was, you know, it was tricky for me because the likes, and I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, what's so exciting here? Do you know what I mean? And I remember even going to church and, you know, there was the comments and goodness, even the group chat, like of the group chat, someone posted a picture in the group chat. I said, what's going
Went
on?
viral.
Yeah, and then some of my male friends said, no, why has someone posted this picture in the Mandem group chat? I said, all right, I can't take it. I don't know what to do. Yeah, but I'm not used to it. I'm not gonna lie.
But did it feel nice though? Would you go as far as to say I appreciated that, I was appreciated like that?
I did. I think what I felt good about as well is that in that picture, I didn't have a bra on. I didn't have any pulling, sucking. And that was just me. That was my body. Like, you look at it, you can see my little pouch belly, whatever. And people appreciated it. I said, oh, well, all right then, innit? Let me breathe, innit?
And that's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
To see a woman that's
the
just
fact that I
comfortable,
didn't have to pull in and reshape
up
myself
and
for
things.
it to look nice.
You just put on a nice dress and some nice makeup and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still getting used to, I still struggle with compliments, and that is an issue of my own. I don't know. I can't explain it. I always have. But I know some of it came from my childhood. I know that much. But yeah, I do struggle with it sometimes, but I do try to, just thanks. But when it's too much, I'm like, all right, I don't know. I don't know what to do now. Shut up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where are you guys at now? So we're at this age now, we're all like, oh, purpose in life.
Yeah.
Purpose in life, manifestations.
Yeah.
Purpose in life. Purpose in life, how can I get to where I want to go?
Yeah.
What do I need to do to get there? What have your reflections been, just in life in general, but in terms of like how you view yourself as a person, and with you being able to achieve what you want to achieve? It's like, okay, for me, I've realised that, especially this last year, I realised that I'm a massive overthinker. I procrastinate a lot. But I also realised that massively that I've been playing it small with myself, with terms of like what I put out of myself, and
your
I've
real
kind of been
self.
making a lot of people feel comfortable by like dimming myself down, my personality, with my exuberance kind of thing, and with my sensuality, with what is a natural thing that kind of comes out of me. I've been trying to like be like, oh, don't do too much because people are
People.
uncomfortable
Yeah.
and they're feeling
Yeah.
insecure, you know.
It
And
looks like you don't care if you go all out. It looks like you don't care about them.
yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And I think I had this need to want to be,
like, I can't relate.
to want to be liked. Yeah.
But do you know,
You know what? I'm like the opposite.
Because I'll be on the phone to Cherry and I'll be like, yeah, but people, and she'll be like, fuck people. It's true. And Cherry's forever like,
I'm the worst.
anyway.
Yeah.
You're gonna say, and when
I'm
I come on
the
the phone to
worst.
Cherry, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's true. You're worrying too much about them.
Yeah.
Like that's
Way
their journey.
too much.
But it's
way
always
too
that.
much. And the thing is, I never used to be like that. I used to be just like, yeah, F it. Like, this is it. Don't like me, cool, it's your business, innit? Like, like, have my stuff together. I was like fully intense. I was fully into who I was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I liked it. I used to like be a proper gym bunny. I used to always practice like my singing. I used to be very like focused, just like determined to be the best version of myself. And then I think because of my childhood, and it was quite a lonely one as well, as I got older, I think I still desired to have friends and to have, you know, something that I didn't have. So I think in my need and want to be liked and be loved, I started to like compromise.
Make yourself smaller.
Make myself a bit more palatable to people.
Because
Do you know what I mean?
they'll like, because now we can talk to you
Yeah.
on a level that we're at because you're too high.
Because you know, before I didn't know you, I thought you were,
Yeah.
people said
I
this
thought
to
you-
me.
yeah.
I thought you were this. I thought you were
yeah,
that.
I
But
get
you're
that.
all right.
You're
I'd be
right,
like,
and that's because I've done myself.
Yeah, exactly. Because then I'm there playing myself down, being like, oh, you know, pretending like I have all these like insecurities. And really, like,
actually you don't.
I don't really. Like, I can, obviously, we can all pick at ourselves. I don't really. We can all pick at ourselves, can't we? Like, oh yeah, I could do that better, I could do that better. But really, it's just, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But to other people, because of how they perceive you, it makes them feel more comfortable to know that you're not perfect, because they saw you as perfect or well put together. Do you know what I mean? And the minute that but then I take responsibility for that, because then I then played myself small to make them feel comfortable. Then they were like, oh yeah, you're right. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, cool, I'm accepted.
Yeah.
And it's at the end of it, it's just like, Steph, you're just tired, isn't it? Like, this is exhausting. This is exhausting.
Yeah. I'm so anti that, like,
Yeah.
trying to be for everyone. Like, accepting that you're not for everyone is just one of the greatest things
okay.
that you can do, man. Like, because it's so draining to try and actually fit everyone's and tick everyone's boxes. And I care not to do that. Like, it's mad. And it's like, sometimes like first experiences of people, like, I've heard the same thing. I've heard that so many times. People like, the first time they meet me is like, oh, I don't know. That like she seems a bit. Yeah, because it takes me a while. Yeah, and that's just how I am. Yeah. I'm not like they're gonna be like coming and be like, hi guys, like, but all the time, like, and on first instance and first impressions.
You need to warm up a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't actually like care to be that guy or that girl. But yeah, I just had to kind of accept that about myself and just be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because
that's your process. And
yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. It's,
I feel like that's quite interesting. What, like, you both hit a point with changing yourself to fit into certain groups or, groups. Just trying to be all, just
slightly because
because I relate to that in terms of, I had the Phoebe Edwards that was at church, that was on the praise and worship team, and the Phoebe Edwards that was on the road doing backing. And going to the clothes thing, I felt like I started to explore being a little bit more liberal with my outfits when I was touring, because you were told kind of what to wear, this is what we want to style you in. And that's when I found different things that could fit my body and my shape. And I was like, oh, I actually feel really nice in this, because I'd never really been allowed to go out and explore that for myself. So I had a different face for tour and being on the road, and then I had a different face for family, and then there was a different face for my partner. And the word that you both use is it's exhausting. I literally was talking to my therapist about this last week, because I still feel that I struggle sometimes. I think you were saying, like, what is it that you still struggle with now? I still struggle sometimes to have a balance of just being me. I'm getting better at it, but of late, like, especially because of lockdown and being with my partner, sometimes I find that I'm trying to be. Is it done for me a bit?
Yeah, so look at your mic.
I felt like it was getting tight. I feel like I have to be over happy, over comfortable to make, everyone else feel comfortable, because I know everyone else is struggling.
Yeah.
Even down to calling my parents, hi mum, and actually I feel like shit. I don't want to be like that. And it was the same with how I presented myself at church. Make sure it's not too tight, not too short, not too this, not too that. But because I had shape, it's like, oh, let me tie an extra thing around my waist because my bottom is curvy. But I wouldn't do that on the road, because I want to show it on the road. And my mum,
and it's okay.
And then my mum, sister so-and-so and brother so-and-so is going to say this. You have to remember who you are. And when you're on the road, remember who you are, because people are watching and they're going to come back to us. And and it's so tiring. And I find that I still, to this day, I'm better, but I find it hard to just be normal throughout. That is quite.
And I was going to
tiring.
say, like, it's to your family as well. It's even harder actually to kind of like bring that separation and bring boundaries. I've learned about boundaries so much this last year. In terms of who you are. People project so much, especially family. Who they think you are, who they want you to be.
And also, if you step out of that, they then think either you're rude, or you're
selfish,
you're
you're arrogant,
not
you're all these negative things. And
because
it's like,
scared.
you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with being the black sheep or whatever it is, or being the gold sheep. Let's bring it something beautiful.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
That's right, the gold sheep.
Because you have to step into who you are. You have to live with yourself. And it's like, are you even happy being like what your family wants and what these other people want? You're not. You're tired, you're confused, you're doubting yourself. And it's like, what for?
And then sometimes with all the change that you're doing for family, church, being on the road or whatever, it still doesn't do anything anyway, because then you still end up getting criticised for something else.
For everything.
So you've been changing and adapting, and then
no one's happy.
Right.
No one's happy.
And you still...
so you have to be happy with who you are.
My new thing has been, it's their own journey. That's like all I've been saying. That, oh, Phoebe, why don't you do this? No, I don't want to. Oh my gosh, okay, that's your journey, that's your opinion, that's fine. I've had to literally say that out loud, just so that when it comes to how I dress, when it comes to how I think, when it comes to what I want to do, I don't take on everyone else's opinions and how they think it should be, because it's tiring. It's tiring.
Lord. So how do you feel like, so we're growing up, we're older now, we're developing relationships, we're meeting guys. How was your interaction with guys?
Oh God.
As a young lady, coming from your, like, you've grown up in homes, and this is where, like, you're conditioned. This is like the factory that made you, your blueprint, right? Put all this stuff into you, and then now you're getting up, you're getting independent, you're going out, you're meeting people on your own terms, whatever, guys, girls, whatever. How, do you go and meet guys? Are you confident if you like a guy? Are you shy? Do you like guys because they like you? You know? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I used to say to myself, like, what you said about you like guys that like you, I always used to say, if I'm not your type, you're not my type.
Okay.
So I was never the type of person that would like seek out and sought after somebody that I just liked. I would have to feel some type of like
something
before I'm like, oh
yeah.
Right. And then my thing is like, I don't know if it's confidence or my thing is more like banter and more just like just being able to be the goofy side of me and be like just really natural and just not this, I don't know, strong artist slash, you know, figure type of thing. And that's always, I think that's always like my go-to when it comes to relationships, not having to be something what people might perceive you as, just actually being quite homey and being quite jokey and childish sometimes and just having fun.
Yeah. So I find sometimes people like they act in relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I
There's
mean?
loads of
like,
people, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I have a boyfriend.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like they're this completely different
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
And it's like, really?
Yeah.
I'm happy for you,
Is this
boo.
real? Like, so I just find that really, really interesting. I find like before I got married, my choice in guys wasn't very good. Wasn't very good at all. Both my boyfriends are very insecure, which for a woman like me was not great. Was quite independent, you know.
Stressful for them.
Yeah,
to have
stressful
some.
for
Yeah, it's like they're insecure. They're sorry, mate.
Sorry.
Really, because you know my life was quite public as well. I was always on stage, always on like TV studios, out here and there, meeting people, going, you know, to clubs from quite young as well, like 10 Rooms. I was in there. I was like 15. I was in there from time. I used to love it. Dress up in the high heels and whatever, go and sing and you know dances and all that.
Yeah.
And it's just like having insecure boyfriends, insecure men, like run from them.
Right, yeah.
Run.
Okay.
Run, honestly. Insecure men are the worst. And if you're there also trying to find your balance as well, it can really, really like be quite a hard hit. Yeah, it could be quite a hard hit for you, definitely. So would you say that, you know, anything from your upbringing, would you say that it's affected you sexually as well, in terms of how you relate to guys?
I feel like one thing that affected me sexually was the balance of being completely free and having completely like nothing on. That being, again, circumspect, not circumspect, because the religious side was like, yes, you must have your children with your husband and you must da-da-da-da-da, but you must keep it, you know, cover up. And so I was still doing things like having, I was still doing things like covering up my arms and like, I had my own insecurities about my body, but I was still like keeping on a dressing gown, but leaving it open, that kind of thing. Because it was like not too much
showing everything. Yeah,
there was that fear there, and then I had to kind of get myself out there because it wasn't working.
How did you even approach actually having sex before marriage?
Well, for me,
because but that's a lot to contend with. That is a lot to contend with.
But I was sneaky. I just went and did it, and you know,
you're just curious. And like,
I was
let's just do it. It's just like.
How can I?
Or was it like a big deal? Oh, it's got to be special.
No,
blah, blah.
It wasn't a big deal. It was actually planned, but I was sneaky with it.
Yeah.
And because I was like, there's a side of me that away from the groups that I was in, like the church, the stage, the da-da-da-da-da. I was like, what's on the stage?
Going on? What's really going on?
On the stage.
What's really going on?
I felt like there was this side to me that I had that was really fiery and really naughty, but no one would know it when I came out from that in the open. There was this like, hi, I'm Phoebe. But no one knew that I was like, I'm Phoebe. What are you saying? Do you know what I mean? No one knew that I was. But then even with that, like I had to keep it quiet. But I was scared that my mum would think I was walking like a penguin and like
see something.
Yeah, see something in me.
Oh
there was that thing of like thing. You're gonna walk like
you look
Mum would be
different.
like, yeah,
What you been up to? What you been up to?
you know, come home. I'm about, why are you walking like that, Phoebe? Walk straight. That scared me. But anyway, away from that, I felt like I've lost my trail of thought. I was actually thinking about coming home and going through the front door, going up the stairs, and thinking, walk straight, walk straight, walk straight. Oh my gosh, the memories. But there was still, even though I had that side where I was like fiery behind, you know, closed doors and like in my sneaky way, I still felt like there was a boundary of not too much, don't be too free, which was quite sad, I think, because that went even into my marriage. Yeah, even went into my marriage. In certain areas, I was like, just got
not feeling comfortable.
Yeah, and then when I found that didn't change anything, and then everything broke down and it turned into a whole load of bullshit. Yeah. That's when I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna do it. That's
so that liberated you after that.
Yeah, because it still didn't change anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I might as well just be me and just do whatever I want, how I want to do it.
How do you feel about that conversation about sex before marriage? I personally didn't have that with my parents.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At all.
Oh no, that's a no-no.
Did you guys? Nothing.
I did, but it wasn't forbidden, because like my mum's like in church and saved and sanctified now, yeah. But when I was coming up at those stages, when I was in relationships as a teenager, she wasn't. Was she? No, she wasn't really. And so it wasn't like, oh, you can't. Obviously, my great grandparents were just like, you must keep yourself a certain way. But but it wasn't forbidden. And you know what? For me, sexually, and maybe this is like more of a parental thing, but like sexually, I knew I wasn't ready for a very long time emotionally.
Right.
And that might have been about not having conversations about it. And that was also about like, even though all of my family members were raised in church, there was a lot of teenage pregnancy. So when I got to a certain age, everyone was looking at me and trying to take me to the clinic to put me on some type of birth control, because they thought history was going to repeat itself again. Yeah. And then because of that, I didn't become sexually active until I was in my early 20s, because I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And that
it's good that you made that decision for yourself. Then,
yeah. And that might have been because I was scared to have a child at a young age, or that might have just been because like the conversations from my great grandparents and everyone thinking I was going to be the next mother on the block. I just thought, I'm just not ready for this. And also just the eagerness from like the opposite sex to kind of do certain things. It's like, well, Anna, like, just wait. Yeah. And also I was fearful of like what everybody says about your first time. Like, and older generation saying that, well, you know, you just have to brace yourself and just let them get on with it.
Brace yourself.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't sound
very enjoyable for me.
Why am I going to do that?
Right, and then I mess up and then I've got to push out Pitney out. No, so the whole load of stuff.
Just a few. But then there's even that side that you talk about, like, it being enjoyable for the woman. That was never something. Ever. It was almost came across like a chore. Like for me, it was, God's going to put you with someone, you get with that person, you let them do what Handmaid's Tale, let them do what they need to do, and you're just there for their pleasure.
Yeah.
And even up until now, I know big people, nearly 60, that don't know what it's like to have an orgasm. They don't have a clue. They just know, this is my duty. I lie there. They don't know.
That's smart.
So that's why I was like, I had something to say when he was going to get into something, because that's how it's been taught to them biblically. You're there for a service.
That's what
so getting to understand your sexuality, there's no time for you to understand your sexuality, let alone know what it feels like to feel sexed. Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean. Sex. Like, it's just, you're there as an item. You get on with it. You let them do what they're doing. It's not for you.
And I think that's probably also the reason why it took me so long as well. Because I think, like, it just seemed like it was all about them. And even
like, what's in it for you?
Yeah, every generation was kind of like, above was kind of like saying almost the same thing from a traditional standpoint. And then for me personally, I thought to myself, no,
what about me?
Like I want to be able to dress it. I was flipping on the other head, because I was like, I would dress it a certain way, but I would love to be out at venues or out at a club, and no one could be able to say, like, I've had a slice of that.
Yeah.
So it's like I used it in like a more empowering way until I was ready to be like,
exclusive.
Okay.
Take me to the hills, darling.
Ready.
Yeah, exactly, basically.
That's so interesting. Yeah, this is a massive issue for me personally, is the lack of conversation around sex in, like, amongst Christians, like in general, but definitely like when you're younger. Like, it's such a minefield to try and figure out by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like just an honest conversation just with one or two people would like
Yeah.
really, really help a lot of young ladies right now.
It's fear. It's
I
fear-based,
I
innit?
definitely
But
wasn't
what's
having
there
any
to be scared of?
conversation.
Because they're themselves, they're having sex and they're enjoying it.
Yeah, but their
Right?
fear that it's their fear. I think their fear is that they speak to you about it and encourage you
Yeah.
to go forth
Yeah.
and do certain things.
It's my
crazy.
sisters. I've got 3 younger sisters. We have different mums, but when I see how they are with their mum, they speak about everything, and their mum is that naked mum, you know, kind of.
Free.
You know, I went to see them the other day. The youngest one is now 14. I'm still trying to cope, and they were speaking about. I walked in the kitchen and speaking about sex, and I was a bit like, what's going on
you
here?
alright?
Yeah, because I never grew up like that. I wasn't
Yeah.
so free with my mum, because I remember even the oldest one, who's now 26, she's got 2 children. When she was like 14, she'd have boyfriends in the house. And for me, man in house at 14.
Never in a million.
But her mum was okay with that. So I used to be there. They lived in South, I lived in East. So I would sit there and be looking at my watch. Like, does they know where you got no home to go to? Like, the boys around her used to hate me because I didn't understand why you're still in the house. But her mum would allow it. So I was always almost like the enemy, because I just don't understand why everyone's so free around here. Do you know what I mean? Because how I was brought up. But I mean, in the end, I think my sister kind of appreciated it, because when she did get pregnant, she was more scared to tell me than her mum, because she's thinking, oh, shock us.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because her mum was just free, innit, kind of thing. But like, I look at the youngest one now, who's 14, she developed really early as well. So, you know, like, I try to have them little conversations because I can just see myself and know what I went through at her age. But she seems really put together, and she's my last chance now. So,
But you see, there's something that you touched on. I think you touched on it, Cherry, as well. It's about the emotion as well that comes with it. Not just the enjoyment, but there's an emotion that comes with it. And I think personally, for the generation that I was brought up by like my mum and dad. My dad's 81 today. Shout out, Dad.
In this conversation.
In this conversation. He, like, the emotional attachment of giving yourself to, I think if they explained it like that and said, you know, if you go and sleep with someone, just know that your heart can get attached quite quickly. That's literally what happened to me. It's like, emotionally, I got so connected to this guy. I thought I was going to marry him. And even to this day, sometimes I call him the one that got away, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, yo, it's a very deep feeling to feel that it's not explained and you don't understand it until you get to now my age, and I'm like, that's actually what they were trying
of, like, not emotion, of just like enjoyment, of pleasure.
That's what I'm saying. I think the pleasure side, that would be nice if they could explain that. But I also feel like, but then I also feel like the emotional side as well with it.
Yeah.
It would be nice if they could just have an overall conversation. They didn't know, because my parents or grandparents, they themselves didn't know what it was like to have that, because all they saw it works like this, it's functional, and then you just have children. The pleasure of it and the emotion of it, that's not what we're talking about.
Crazy.
Doesn't come into it.
It's
just a thing you do because you need to have a baby.
Be fruitful,
Hop on,
multiply.
hop off, crack
Yeah,
on.
Handmaid's Tale. Put a sheet over the let him thing.
Imagine.
That's what. Well, let me not go.
And that's the thing though, because what if you grow up and you don't want to get married, you don't want to be, so like,
You don't have kids as
you
well.
don't want to have kids, so like, what does sex mean then? You know, what do I do?
It's not for you. It's not for you.
Yeah, it's not for you.
Might as
So
well sew
it's
it up.
nothing then.
Yeah.
Literally. Just actually, I just think it's a load of bullcrap, really. Like, even with my son, he's 12, and I'm like, I want to start having conversations with him. Obviously, I want to have conversations about girls, don't touch girls, consent, blah blah blah. Be a young man, be a gentleman, and obviously, as he gets older, the conversation will get a bit bigger. But for me, it's important that he grows up like having a healthy, enjoyable sex life. As awkward as it is to think about it, I've got to think outside of myself and think about, he's going to be a man. He's going to maybe find a woman, have a family, whatever. And I want him to be respectful to women. I want him to be emotionally immature and open. And I want him to have an enjoyable sex life with his partner. Do you know what I mean? And them to be happy together in that way. And I just feel like there's a lot of people who older than us and our age who don't have satisfying sex lives.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Like
and
I said,
they maybe they're just learning about it now, or they just don't know how.
They don't have a clue.
How to do that. And
what
I think it's really sad. I
Or
think
how to even open that conversation.
Yeah.
with
yeah,
somebody.
how to even talk about it. I put on my Instagram the other day about, I shared someone talking about foreplay. I follow these like sexologist people, and I kind of like retweeted, shared their thing, you know what I mean. And I was like, oh, does anyone talk to their partner about this? And some people were like, no. I'm like, you're married, and you don't talk to your partner about your sexual desires, foreplay, what you like, what you don't
guide
like.
it and steer it, not that bit, not all right, just that. You have to guide it and steer it and
There's
talk
clearly
about
still a lot of
Guide it.
there's a lot of work to still
Guide it
to
and
do.
steer it.
And it's like we're in such a sexually liberated age right now. Well, it appears to be that way.
Yeah.
Where everyone's like, everything is everything. Everyone can do everyone. Do you know what I mean? Everyone
Whoa.
trying, it's true. Everyone's trying this, trying that, kinky, blah, 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 this. And it's like,
Scrap.
yeah. Still the basic stuff is still not, it's not there.
not,
Like just talking about it, pleasure, self-pleasure, how to please your partner, all that kind of stuff. It's still very much geared towards the male pleasure and like
make sure you do this so that he can make sure
you keep him satisfied.
keep him happy, keep him satisfied.
it makes me a bit angry.
Well, yeah,
It does. It really upsets me, and I don't really like it. Really,
I don't really like
I don't like it. Okay. So I don't know obviously much about your sex life. It's your business, but do you take your pleasure seriously?
I do now. I think with every relationship, I can see my journey of men.
But you becoming more outspoken.
Like I can see why my the next decision was the next decision.
Okay.
And it may have been steered away from what I was doing in the previous year. Really, like I'm definitely getting to know myself a lot better. I'm still learning, and I think definitely what I learned about myself is in my earlier relationships, I'm very much a words of affirmation person. So I'd have guys just telling me any old nonsense and I'll be getting gassed. And then, but then I find that then I find that the relationships are not good. They're either abusive or they cheat and all the rest of it. So I guess subconsciously I started to relate that whole words of affirmation with men that cheat, men that lie. So then I didn't want to hear the sweet words anymore. I don't want you to hear nothing. So then when I get with somebody who gives me nothing, no words, no nothing, I'm like, he's safe.
right.
So then I was in that, wasn't getting anything, and I was just fine with that because I felt safe. I felt, okay, he doesn't seem like he's lying. He doesn't seem like he's cheating. He's not abusive. And I was fine to just kind of settle with that. Sex life wasn't amazing, but it was safe. I was fine. I didn't see it as important to me. Do you know what I mean? I think I was just looking for safety and stability and, good man. And
that everything else can...
Yeah, everything else...
That will work itself out.
And it will just work, it will be fine. And then, well, that didn't work out. And then now I'm like back again and I'm like, hey, like I'm getting all the young boys talking to me. I'm like, well,
listen.
And then, you're getting like, she's over there quiet, like, I relate.
Get out. White flag, I do.
I relate.
Surrender. Come on now, get it
and
on.
it's reminding me of the things that I like.
Yeah.
I did like that. Like a man that says nice things to you, he doesn't have to be a cheater. He doesn't have to be a liar. And it's like, I'm kind of seeing that
I
now.
guess it's again accepting compliments is that thing,
And
isn't
things
it?
like that. Like, when I'm feeling really butters one day and he's like, you're so gorgeous, man. I'm like, whatever. Whatever.
Whatever, thanks.
Whatever, And it's nice to feel that is actually what I want. And why should I not have it just because I'm scared that, just out of fear.
Yeah.
So it's just getting what you want, and I'm getting what I want at the moment. So.
No, right.
Well,
that's right. because right. But I think that's the basis of a lot of things. Work out what you want, get to know you, like even without sex, like just in life, what are your goals? What do you want to get out of life? When you work out what you want, then you know what to say, yep, no, or you'll learn to speak up about certain things, whether it's sex or just life in general. And I'm only just learning that's the basis of, again, through therapy. She'll always say to me, so what do you want? And I get stuck because I've done so much of serving for everyone else. Lie there and make sure they're happy.
Being chirpy when you speak to people to make them feel happy.
Everything is to do with what they want. And now when she says to me, what do you want? I'm like, oh yeah, I actually have that option. What I want this, and the list is endless because then I realise I know myself more. And then you end up being more and more satisfied, okay? Because you steer the thing, not there. And no, do this now, thank you. Finished.
I agree. I think for me, I'm still, I don't know. My husband's in the room.
You know, I completely forgot about that, you know. I forget.
I think I'm still working out not what I want. I know what I want, but I think I'm working out how far.
Right.
How far?
Well,
because
How far what?
Right.
how far to go with my wants
Girl,
and desires.
Wow.
Because
Because
right.
it's it is. It's a thing of like
How far we go with this? Where you
Well,
finna go?
I'm here for it,
Where we
I'm
finna go? Innit? Yeah.
it is. It's like it's a bit. I guess it's a bit scary, isn't it? Like thinking like, okay, this is what I want. I'm a woman. I'm confident. I'm this and da da da. Like, how far are we gonna go with this? What's okay? What's not okay? And I think it's how much is okay to want it and desire it. I think that's what it is for me at the minute. Like, how important is it? I think there's a lot of emphasis on men seeing sex as really important. But for me, it's like, why isn't it as important? And I'm a woman, I'm made differently. I've got, I'm a creative as well. So sometimes I find sexual energy can go there as opposed to actual sex, but it can be put into creating, which sometimes I prefer to do. So I'm trying to find that balance of like, sexual energy as creative energy and as sexual energy like sex, but then like how much do you want it? How deep do you want to go into it? Because like it's deep. Do you know what I mean? Like you can do a lot. It's very spiritual. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's true. It's very spiritual and it's very unique. Everyone has their own things that that spark them sexually, their own desire, and
it's like even now, like as you're saying that, in my mind, all I'm thinking is, I could never have this conversation with my mum. I could never talk to my dad about it. They'd think I'm crazy.
I've never had a conversation
energy,
about sex with my parents, as liberal as they are. I think that's sad.
It's not.
Not a serious conversation. My mum makes kind of crash jokes, which I think is gross. I go about my dad, I'm like, please, we don't need to hear that.
I've started making jokes with my mum and dad because there's 9 of us. And
they were doing something, weren't
right. So of late, I've tried to take the issue out of the sex talk by making jokes about it. So and I know that they will cringe, so I'll do it when the room is full, like there's loads of us, or the whole family's there, and I'll be like, Mum and Dad, you had sex 9 times, and I'll make them feel really embarrassed. And you were still naughty because I came really late, you were still doing it. And in a way, although it sounds like I'm making a joke, I'm trying to get them to be okay with talking about sex at 80 odd years old.
Stigma off it.
Yeah. And then you'll hear my dad say little things like, oh no more, drop off, no more, oh God, oh no. And my mum will, shut up Phoebe, shut up. But secretly it's funny. And then I think, I hope that kind of leaves a little seed for them to have a little conversation when I'm gone. And instead of the night, they like to have the little pillow talk still. They'll say, oh yeah, you know what, I wish we did, maybe we should have, you don't know. I hope it will start something off because I just feel if they see that it's actually okay and it's actually a beautiful thing, stop giving back to them what they gave to me. Oh gosh, don't it's nasty. Or, don't give them
to liberate them a little bit.
Yeah. And I think that in a small way I have, in a tiny way, because I could never make a joke like that about 10 years ago, you know. So I do feel that even in that tiny little way, there's a bit of growth. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me today. It's been an insightful conversation. And I don't know, I really hope this is a conversation that other ladies will have. Not just women, but I guess men and women as well. I think it's important that we just talk a bit more openly about sex, really, about who we are as people, what we like, what we don't like, what we desire, what we don't desire, just for ourselves in life in general. It's important that we just know ourselves, isn't it? I think that's what I've been working on, is like self-love.
Yeah.
You know, but in the true sense of the word, like focusing, okay, Steph, what is it you like? What don't you like? What do you need to make you feel happy today? What do you need to do on a daily basis to kind of give yourself a little moment of joy? That I think for a long time I wasn't doing that at all, and I was just, I don't know, just a bit unhappy, I think, and a bit bored and everything. But when you kind of, you know, as you say, stop thinking about other people, what they need, what they're doing, where they're at.
That's your journey. That's their journey.
Think about yourself. What do you need? You know, okay, I like to work out every day. Let me get up and make sure I work out because that makes me feel this way.
Yeah.
You know, I like to have a bath and put rose petals because it makes me feel this way about myself. I'm really just focusing on that, really. And I think in doing those things to nourish yourself, you're just going to feel, you're going to have more to give anyway. And you're going to feel better when you step out in the world, more confident.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and more sure about who you are. So that's what this
Talk
is
about
about.
sex, baby. Let's talk about you. You should play that as an outtake song. Salt and pepper, yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for watching the Sounds Taboo podcast. Please like and subscribe, as you do, and comment. And yeah, let's continue the conversation in the comments. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Did you enjoy that? Princess, you slept.